What's up, guys? Welcome back to Brown's Film Breakdown. It's been a week off. We had our bye week making videos, but we're back jumping in with the usual offensive guests. Brendan Leister, PFF analyst. Brendan, how you doing, buddy?
Doing great, man. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, man. I'm good. Thanks for asking. We're going to jump in here real quick on Mayfield. Take a look at obviously some of his throws as we've gone through week to week. We didn't touch on last week, but that's okay. The Chargers game was a bit of a waste. But we're going to talk about accuracy versus precision, how Mayfield's doing with that, and we'll touch too on how defenses are playing him and how he's going to have to beat that. So I wrote a little bit on Cleveland.com about blitz issues, how he's doing with the football, holding on to it too long, missing some people here and there. Teams are playing more man-to-man against him. I've noticed that is becoming pretty common against the receiving group the Browns have. Have you noticed any coverage patterns such as those, Brendan?
Somewhat, yeah. I thought in the Tampa Bay game, their changeup was kind of to play man coverage, and then I felt like down to down, they were very much like a quarters team. So it's kind of interesting. I think for the most part, teams have kind of done what they set out to do generally, but yeah, in those key moments, I have seen teams play tight man coverage against the Browns.
Yep, it is becoming a commonplace for teams to try to challenge the Browns' wide receiver depth and make Mayfield make some tight window throws. So here we're going to take a look at a 3-by-1 set, talk accuracy, precision. You're going to get – what do you see schematically, Brendan? Talk me through it.
So I would call this coverage like 4 solo. So to the 3 receiver side, they're playing cover 4. So you have the corner's got number 1 vertical, the safety to the field side. So the one between the 40 right now and the hash, he has number 2 vertical, and then the safety that's between the 2 hashes, between the 2 hash marks, he has number 3 vertical. So that's how it would be. So final number 3. So even if those receivers were to cross routes, he would have the 3rd guy across. So that's just to protect them against 4 verticals if a team were to run that route concept. And then at the top of the screen, that corner has number 1 vertical. So it's kind of like man-to-man at the top, backside of the trips. And then the linebackers manned up against the running back, as we see.
Yep, so you're just going to get a sort of out route by Duke Johnson. And he's working against, I think that's Levante David. So I wanted to talk to, Brendan about how he would deem this throw here because, body angle, typical stuff, for quarterbacks, if you're grading quarterbacks or you're just judging quarterback play, would you deem this an accurate throw, precise throw? How would you sort of deem this one?
Yeah, I would definitely say that it's a catchable ball, obviously. I think it's like catchable high. It's not like a precise throw. It's not a perfect throw by any measure. You could put this ball a little bit more outside, away from the defender, but also get the ball at about chest high, and it would be probably a little more of a perfect throw. The type of throw that maybe even Duke could, turn up the sideline a little bit and get up the field, get it maybe 2 yards after the catch, potentially before the linebacker pushes them out of bounds. But this is definitely a catchable ball. It's a good throw over the linebacker, and good job getting the completion here.
Yep, absolutely. So we'll keep going. Jump into the next one. The discussion with Mayfield is going to continue to be ball placement, giving his wide receivers chances to make plays on the move, and that's what we're analyzing here. Play 2. Okay, we are jumping in fourth quarter now. We skipped a lot, but the discussion. This is a good ball to bring into the accuracy conversation. So Browns are aligned. Looks like 12 personnel, couple tight ends down here to the bottom of the screen, bunch twins here to the top of the screen. Brendan, talk me through, man. Play action. What concept route-wise do you have going on at the top?
Yeah, so this is basically just a dagger concept. The inside receiver is going to run the clear out. He's running, right up the seam to clear out that middle of the field safety in the cover 3. And then you see Landry coming in behind the linebackers. They use play action to suck up the linebackers. They also tried to clear out the zone. And then Landry is just stemming that corner outside. And then he snaps it off that's close to, close to 20 yards on the route. So, that's a really deep dagger route. Definitely wouldn't run that probably like that at the high school or college level. But in the NFL, it's special rules on these routes. So he presses that corner vertical, stems him outside, and then cuts it off on a speed cut inside on that deep dig route. The corner tries to come over the top on the route and kind of tries to, get in there and play the ball, expecting Mayfield to hit him like in the front, kind of leading Landry across the field. But it looks like Mayfield sees that at the last second, and he places the ball back away from the corner. I thought this was one of his best throws of the day, actually. I mean, it's tight coverage with the corner closing down on him, trying to make a play on that ball, and he just places it exactly where Landry can catch it away from coverage. So I was really impressed with this ball placement. It's a great throw.
Yeah, that's good analysis, and I have literally nothing to add because you nailed it. I thought it was one of his more impressive throws of the day, and to keep him shielded away from that corners over top angle was certainly impressive.
Great catch too.
Oh, absolutely. He had several of these, and the next one we're going to analyze is probably one of his best catches of the year. So, let's jump into play 3. Okay, play 3, one of Landry's best catches of the season, and a good decision by Mayfield. We'll talk about what leads to that decision, but let's talk route concept. They're obviously out here and empty. I still have I can't tell if that is it to the top of the field. Is that Duke or Chubb? It still looks like 11 personnel, just empty from that set. What do you got going on? 2 guys inside here are important, Brendan, route wise. What's the concept?
Yeah, so I would consider this just a drive concept. So you're going to have the number 2 receiver is running a shallow cross. The number 3 receiver, Landry, is running a dig route. And then we have at the bottom of the screen the other shallow cross in behind. So he's kind of reading. This is a high-low read on the linebacker over number 3.
Yep. So that's your read. That's what it looks like. The thought process is from Mayfield, like Brendan said, reading number 3 right there. So let's see how it plays out.
Yep.
All right. So eyes are here, on that invert linebacker. He bites on the shallow. So as a quarterback, you're teaching your quarterbacks here. Let me phrase it this way, Brendan. This ball seems to be thrown low. It's a tough catch. Is Mayfield's thought process as he's expecting as he's ripping it here, because his hands sort of start to separate here, is he expecting a sharper inward cut, and maybe that's why it's sort of underthrown? What do you think?
It's possible. I think there is probably some type of miscommunication on this play. In the red zone, everything is tighter. So where you'd usually run like a 12-yard or 14-yard dig on drive, you're going to be running it much shallower because of the red zone and the way that everything is more tight down in there. But yeah, I agree. Usually on that concept, you would have a much more of a hard cut out of the break rather than the way that Landry kind of runs almost like a deep crossing route where he's running like a skinny post of sorts, just running up the seam. So if Mayfield throws that ball and he runs a hard cut, it actually might hit him in stride here. But since Landry kind of bends it deeper, it leads to the ball placement being low and in front. And it's a great catch by Landry. And it's really hard to say who's wrong or who's right. But in the end, all that matters is he made the right read. And thankfully, Landry made the great catch and got in the end zone. It was just a great effort by him.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of those things you'll never know unless you're in that huddle. Fun to have a little discussion on it, as sometimes, there's a little nuance to every play. But, yeah, like Brendan said, just a whale of a catch. And that leads to Jarvis Landry discussions. He's not going to beat people all the time, in press coverage situations. He's not going to beat people vertically really ever. But those sorts of hard catches, the one we see there, we've seen other hard catches. He had that nice catch where he went up in traffic on Mayfield's sort of across the body middle throw. That there's value to that, right, Brendan? I mean, I know it's not $14 million a year or whatever he's making, but there's value to that, and the Browns need that. Would you say that's decently accurate?
Oh, definitely. Yeah. I think that the thing that's tough right now with Landry is, the Browns are short on wide receivers. We all know that. The cupboard is kind of bare, especially with Rashard Higgins out. And so they're asking Landry to do some things that maybe he's not ideal for, putting him outside some, having him run vertical routes, double moves against guys, and he has trouble separating on those routes. He's not a burner. He doesn't have a ton of fluidity with the way that he runs those vertical routes. But if you ask him to do things like this in the short to intermediate level of the field, attacking zone coverage, finding those soft spots in zones, and also I think beating defenders in tight quarters and man coverage, he's better at that than he is on those vertical stems where he's running down the field, maybe running double moves like post corners and stuff like that. I mean, that's just not his game. So it'll be interesting to see in the offseason how they attack the wide receiver position and address it, because I think that Landry is definitely a very valuable piece to the offense, and it's fun seeing Mayfield throw to him, because Mayfield is, we've all seen he's a very talented passer. So it's good to have him around. I just think that as a complementary piece, it'll be much better for him rather than right now where he's kind of like the number one receiver, which that's just not really who he is.
Yeah, I would agree. Spot on about Higgins and the depth and what they're asking him to do in a tough situation. So, yeah. So we'll jump back in. We have one bonus clip from overtime. I want to get Brendan's thoughts on. Okay, bonus clip coming from the bonus quarter that the Browns played in overtime here. Their first possession, big 3rd and 6, obviously. Browns score a touchdown, they win. So they needed to find a way to get a first down here. They come out just 2-by-2. Personnel is again 11. But, yeah, just twins, 2-by-2 concept bunch together. What they're trying to do is put a strain on this corner by running a variation of smash. And, aiming to high-low this corner. And Mayfield mentioned in the post-game presser that he would like to possibly have this one back, maybe missed a big play to Ratley. But talk me through, Brendan, because you and I had text conversations on this play. Why is this hard for a quarterback in terms of reading it in that instance? So what are you teaching vision-wise for your quarterback on this play?
Well, first of all, it's single high, so – they play cover 3 here, so it's 3 deep, and the safety to the far side of the field, Mayfield's looking at the bottom, so the safety to the top, he's rolling down. So it's cover 3, and usually in this situation, you would expect the corner to drop deep and cover a deep third. But in this situation, what happens is he just sits on the out route by Njoku at the bottom, and then they leave Ratley wide open on the corner route because that free safety is in the deep middle of the field. He has vision on, it looks like Callaway running that seam route. So they just leave Ratley wide open. But this is such a tough play because Mayfield has to get this ball out at the top of his drop. You'll see he doesn't even take a hitch, I don't think, because he's forced to get this. No, he does take a slight hitch at the top of his drop, but still – he just has to trust this throw, and he's expecting the corner to peel off and cover the corner route. But instead, the corner doesn't do that, and by the time that he gets the ball out, it's too late to realize that they left Ratley wide open.
Yeah, and we talked about, too, ways you can combat this, because as these two run down the field together, in Ratley and Njoku, they're running down the field, and through 5 yards of the route, they're together. This does not clarify a read for a quarterback. The idea that schematically what we would like to see, or what I like to see when I tried to run an offense or call plays, was putting this guy, this corner, in a tougher bind. So I want him to clarify right now which one he's going to likely cover. Now, there's 2 ways to do this. You can have him sort of stem at a 45 and get to his landmark via the out route, or you can have him at a harder angle, stem laterally, still getting upfield and sort of squaring in for the hitch. What that does, and Brendan has talked about this in conversation before we jumped in, you can also have Ratley sort of pressing inside more and working to his corner. But the gist of what we're saying here is this. You need to make this corner declare which guy is he playing. Is he going to play off the snap? Is he going to bail and give you the idea that he's playing the corner, playing it safe, or is he going to sort of slow play the feet and work his body to take away the short route on a 3rd and 6 play? When you run it that way, it sort of clarifies the read for the quarterback. But in this situation, as you guys see here, it doesn't happen. So the Browns send these 2 downfield, and at 5 yards, from the snap, or this is actually closer to 7, they're still side by side. There's no clarification. Brendan made a great point of Mayfield at the third. He hits his third step, quick hitch and throw. He has no choice, because if he sits, if he sits here, holds on to this ball, and the corner continues to bail, covering, Ratley's corner route, you're missing the timing, and you could be late and throw an interception on a 3rd and 6 out route that could have gotten you the first down. So it's tough. This ball is out on timing, like Brendan said. And you watch it live shot. It certainly looks like, oh man, he missed him. He should have thrown the corner. But it's the little things with the Browns are what makes it tough, man. It's an unclear read, and Mayfield makes the decision he thinks is best at that split second. And Brendan, I'll ask you too, man. This ball, is it accurate? Is it catchable? Give me your thought, because people love to give Njoku flack. He gets his hand on it. What do you think, man?
It's tough. I mean, this hits his hands. I know that people like to say, "Oh, it hits your hands, catch it," but that would have been an incredible catch if he catches this ball. I think Mayfield even touched on the ball placement in the press conference. He said he probably left it out there a little bit too far for Njoku. So I would say that ball is definitely, a little inaccurate, but it's still so tough because the corner is right in position. So that ball, I mean, it's tough to, I just said inaccurate. Maybe that's not the right word. Maybe it's just a very tight window he's trying to fit that ball into, and there's nowhere to really put it to make it an accurate throw. So it's tough to really judge in this situation. Sometimes the coverage is just so tight that it makes it tough. And I think the way that you combat that in this situation is like we discussed with stemming the routes differently. It's attention to details, and maybe they're coaching this stuff, maybe they're not. But I mean, you see this stuff with the Browns all the time: the undisciplined stuff, the penalties, the attention to detail and routes, the attention to detail with coverages, and especially underneath coverages on defense. I would say there's just a lot of things. Special teams is a big thing. So it's very easy, in my opinion, to question the coaching sometimes and those types of things. So these are the types of things they've got to figure it out. And in the NFL, you're always a few plays away. It's always a play here, a play there. That's the difference in a game. We've seen it. I mean, 4 times this year, the Browns have gone to overtime. And so you just have to do those little things. And if they do them right, they'll win more. If they do them wrong, like they have, they can continue to lose under this coaching staff. And just really hope that they can figure out how to do those little things at some point, because on this play, they definitely didn't do that, and it made it a tough play for Mayfield.
I agree. Spot on again, my friend. It's the little things with this team, and if you miss the little things, your margin for error shrinks every time it happens, and it can only shrink so many times before you lose games you shouldn't lose, and that's what we've seen as a common theme too many times. So that's a wrap, guys. Episode 18 gave you 4 good Mayfield plays to talk about precision, accuracy, conversation, which is fun. And just look at how the offense is functioning sort of as a whole. So, Brendan, per the usual, my good friend, thank you for joining me. It's always a blast. And I do think that we can hopefully see some more pass game success against a Pittsburgh secondary that is not playing as hot right now, lower third of the league in pass defense. So hopefully we have some fun Mayfield tape to break down. But like I said, episode 18, that's a wrap. We'll jump back in next week with some conversation on Mayfield against Pittsburgh. Per the usual, log on and subscribe to the YouTube channel if you can. Follow at Browns Film Breakdown as we try to continue covering this team. Per the usual, again, go Browns. We'll see you next week.